Overlanding Dreamers on here, except
They're having technical difficulties.
yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we're here anyways.
Oh,
Oh, look at there.
hello.
Here they are.
Hey.
Thanks.
Y'all could not have timed it any more
Wow.
perfect.
We're
We
figuring
just
it
went
out.
live.
Like
Right
right
at
on
the-
the dot, huh?
Right on the
Yeah.
dot. I mean, as soon as I hit the time, y'all popped on here. So,
Oh, it's
Y'all couldn't
goodness
have done it
sakes.
any
I've
better.
never used Chrome.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have never had Chrome on anything other than Microsoft. So
Well,
I've never used it on the MacBook Pro. So
See, I told you he was on a MacBook. I
So
told
did
he was on
you
a Mac.
did you end up having to download it or something,
I
or
did. I had to
configure?
download. So I had to download Chrome and then turn around, and Chrome kept saying my passwords were wrong, which they weren't.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I went and changed the password. Then it said that password's wrong. So then I had to log in through Facebook and put the Facebook password in. Then it said it was wrong.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what in the world?
Anytime anything asks for passwords, I'm screwed. Every time. Every
And
time.
it's weird. It shouldn't make you feel this way, but it's kind of stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
you feel
Right at the cut off.
Yeah, I was just like, goodness sakes. I'm like, we're not gonna make it.
Mm,
Well,
that's
we're
all right.
gonna-
We would have been here. We
Yeah.
would have been here waiting on you.
Oh,
We would have been here.
yeah,
But
it's
anyway,
been-
well, hey everyone, we're live on the Overland podcast. We have Overlanding Dreamers way out in y'all are in Oregon, is that right?
you're in Oregon right now.
Oregon,
yes.
way out on the west coast. So
Right on.
if I disappear, I just want y'all to know there's a storm about to hit with bad storm, hail, and all that good stuff. So
You
anyway,
guys
if I
must
just
be in
disappear, Tony, you're in charge.
Oklahoma area or Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right. Tony's in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm right in the center. So
Okay.
yeah, it's fixing to get us. But anyway, glad
We
that
look
y'all
forward-
are here. Sorry that you had some technical difficulties. You know, and like I told Tony right before y'all came on, eventually everybody has come on, whether it's on time or right after. Or, yeah. So anyway, Michael's on here all the way up in Alaska. So we got feral chicks on here from Oklahoma. We got people on here from everywhere. So anyway, glad that y'all are here. We're going to get things kicked off here, and we're live on Instagram as well. So if people want to jump on there, we are there. So thank everybody for being here. We're going to come to you live. We'll be right back. Here we go. Thank you for watching or listening to the Overland Podcast. We're excited to be here. We're coming to you live as we do each week, bringing you the latest in all things outdoors and overlanding. The live show contains listeners, so join us with your comments and questions. Here we go. No pros, just bros on this show. There we go. I connected with you guys on Instagram several weeks ago. I don't know how it came up. It just popped up, and I was like, "Oh, they look interesting."
Well, it could be the post of the underside.
Could have been.
Gladiator.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Of our gladiator.
I don't know if y'all know this, but y'all got a lot of views and likes on that.
We did.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like wow, skyrocket, boom, viral stuff. Anytime you turn something over, people want to watch it. I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. Carnage. Definitely.
Carnage. That's it.
Good
I know
view.
a lot of Jeep people who have made themselves famous just by tearing their stuff up. So
Yeah, and that was not our intent at all.
and I saw that. You know,
So-
and I kind of got that from your post. And it was just interesting to see.
And we
But
like to be
if you
transparent
would,
about everything.
introduce yourself to us and tell us who you are and a little bit about yourselves. Where are you from?
So my name's Terry Hestalen, and this is my fiance, Amy Warner.
Hi.
So
We grew up in Monroe, I guess.
yeah,
and
we went to high school together in Monroe. We lived in Oklahoma for about a year, building the Gladiator there, and then we decided we want to do something better than. I actually got hurt in 2012 and blew 8 disc out in my back, and
Oh no.
ended up on pain meds for about 10 years, and that was a nightmare because they definitely did not help me. They actually made everything worse.
Yeah.
Then I threw everything down. About 3 years ago, I just threw all the meds away and just quit taking everything cold turkey, and then trying to get back into shape and lose a bunch of weight because I gained about 170 pounds. I was almost 370 at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
Nice.
And I'm down about 130 from where I was at. So I still got about 60 more to go. So I still want to get about 60 more off, and then I'll be about where I should be. So
right on. I started a journey last week, so I've got 70 pounds to lose is my goal. So
it's hard the older we get.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It is. And I'm guessing I'm older than both of you. I turn 53 next month. Am I correct?
Well, I'll be 50 here in a couple months.
I knew it.
So
I knew it. I'm the old guy here.
You are,
And
I'm
about 2 years
45.
ago, right at about 2 years ago, I went to work and my eyes were about to pop out of my head. Went and got my blood pressure checked. She said, you need to go to the doctor now. And so I went, and I lost 52 pounds in 2 months. And so, I mean, I hit it hard, and I lost it a little bit too fast. So, you can do it. You can definitely do it. You put your mind to it. But keeping it off now, that's the hard. That's the hard.
That's the biggest thing. And like for us, we found that being on the road full time, we generally only eat once a day. I mean, you don't really need 3 meals a day. So we generally eat 1 meal a day. And I mean,
like 2, 3
I start dropping weight pretty quick. You know, it's generally when we get around family and
holidays or family.
Holidays. And then we're like, okay, we're not eating like we normally do. So you start feeling yourself getting kind of more groggy and more lethargic, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I'm ready to get back on the road because we eat much healthier on the road. And
and you're active. You're moving around. You're doing stuff all the time. It's not sitting on the couch watching, binge watching anything. So you're always moving around, being active, and that helps too.
Yeah, a lot of driving. We've put a lot of miles on the Gladiator since we started. We started full time August of last year.
Oh wow!
We built the Jeep, and we lived in Claremore, Oklahoma.
I had no idea you guys were that close.
Yeah. We actually we dealt with bought a few things from I can't even think of their name right now.
Okie Overlanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tate and, Tate and the guys over there. So
right on.
So we knew those guys. We went to Moore last year. In the middle of the build, we did go to Moore last year. But yeah, we did a lot of things to the Jeep. I mean, I built the whole Jeep myself. The only thing I had done at a shop was the gears, and I had off-road do the gears in it. And I wasn't going to do gears to begin with, but it was a matter of weight. Not so much the 37-inch tires, but the weight factor that we were adding on to the Gladiator kind of pushed us over the edge to go ahead and do the gears. And the 37s, we still never really got out of 6th gear without the weight, but I knew how bad it was going to be with the weight. So we went and put 513 gears in it. And that definitely has been a major difference in the Jeep itself.
I still have use of 7th gear, but I don't think mine's as heavy as you guys's.
Yeah, we were 8,300 pounds when we put it on its side.
Good grief.
And so after we got it back,
fins and things like we
did fins and things with it fully loaded.
Yeah.
So
scored as a 5, and we're like.
And I mean, it was, and I've been very transparent about everything with the the flop. It wasn't a roll, it was a flop, and it was me not paying attention and got too close to the edge. And we haven't posted the video yet, but we do have video on the driver's side So it actually shows the moment that the rear of the truck fell off, where the ground gave way. So the whole truck actually, in the video, you can see the whole truck turn and then roll over.
Wow.
Wow.
So you can see at the moment that the
Yeah.
ground actually gave way on the rear tire. As soon as the rear tire, and I was way too close because I wasn't paying attention. I took a picture. I've been fully transparent with everybody about it. And they're like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can't believe you actually posted that. You actually just weren't paying attention. I'm like, well, I mean, there's no reason to lie about it because you're just going
Yeah.
to chase the lie then. So
Well, it happens, and
Yeah.
it's
It
it's
does.
great. It's great that you were able to fix your rig back up and share the story. And
well,
so,
it's still not over yet. So
Yeah, I noticed that. I've noticed that. It seems like the saga keeps continuing.
it has, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We come back to Oregon. Rory Irish over at Moab with Trailmater, Moab Motorsports. He come out and flipped us back over. He turned the motor over, make sure it didn't vapor lock. He actually blew out the excess oil in the vacuum lines with his mouth. So,
oh wow,
so Rory Irish, definitely a great guy. He come out, helped us out, and got us back upright. Checked the oil, put some oil in it, just because it was a little bit had leaked out. So we were fine all the way back to Oregon. Drove back, no problem, no issues with anything. I fixed everything, got a new top, and had a few little arguments and things with the insurance and with the bank, because the bank wanted the money, and I'm like, no, we've already bought everything out of our pockets, and so no, you don't get the money. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that was another fight for a few days, and then the insurance finally decided, no, you guys have already sent us all the receipts for the parts and everything, and you've already sent us pictures of the Jeep repaired, so there's no reason. We're just going to send you guys the money.
Yeah.
So then we got back on the road and was heading to Jeep Beach. So
Yeah.
we were really looking forward to that this year. And we got basically back to Salt Lake, and the engine light just starts flashing.
oh no,
Yeah.
So it ended up, to begin with, it was just the catalytic converters got oil on them, and you can sometimes burn it off by doing 100% gas with no ethanol, because it burns hotter. So you can generally, a lot of the guys, Rory and all of them, were saying, no, you can generally burn it back off, and it'll take a little while. So in the process of doing that, we started hearing some tapping coming from the motor, and we pulled over and was like, okay. So I had Amy actually video me checking the oil. Well, we had the oil changed while we were here, because of course we put it on inside. So change the oil, change the plugs. So the company that did it had been changing oil for us for many years. It's just usually a pain to change the oil and take the oil in and drop it off somewhere. So it only generally cost me about $35 to have them change it. I'd bring my own oil. It cost me $35 to change it. So we ended up checking the oil. It ended up being 3 quarts low. So now the motor's tapping and sounds like it's getting ready to throw a rod. So we run it to another oil change place that's associated with them, and they said the same thing. They're like, yeah, there was no oil in it, and but they wouldn't change it or flush it or do anything because they didn't want to be involved in anything with the motor at that point. And I get that. So and so we ended up taking it to a Dodge dealership, had it towed to the Dodge dealership. They're like, yeah, the catalytic converters are burnt out, but your motor's now shot. So now now we couldn't rent a truck from
one way
Utah, and we couldn't rent it. We could rent a U-Haul trailer, but because of the 37s and the negative 12 offset wheels, because we have the KMC Recons, we could not fit it on a U-Haul trailer. So now we're trying to find a truck and a trailer, and all the transport companies, because of the size of the Gladiator, wanted over $2,000. Wow. And I was like, no, I can rent a car, drive back to Oregon, rent a truck from Enterprise, a commercial 3/4 ton, rent a trailer for $100 a day, go back to Utah, get it, and then bring it back to the dealership here.
Mhm.
So that's what we ended up doing. And so we we made the trip basically over 2,000 miles in 3 days, going back to Moab, load the Jeep, and then back to Oregon to drop it off at the dealership. And
Oh no.
so we ended up getting good news though. We thought we were going to end up having to replace because we filed a claim with the company that did it. They denied the claim, of course, pretty fast, and just tons of excuses for why it wasn't there. I don't know of anybody that could ever say that they can fill 5 quarts of oil in a motor in 23 seconds. I've talked to many quick lube places and dealerships that have their own quick lube. They're like a minute plus for 5 quarts. Everybody.
Mhm.
So they argued with me, and the manager was basically, yeah, 20. He had the gun and the hose in the filler neck for 23 seconds. And I'm like, well, that tells me he put about 2 quarts in there, which is about what was in there. That's why we were able to go about 1,700 miles. And so on our way back, the insurance company calls us and says, well, since it was somebody else that didn't fill the oil properly, and the insurance company actually paid for that oil change. So, so part of the flop, they paid for the oil change too. And
okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So now they paid for the oil change that they only put 2 quarts of oil in our engine. So now it becomes a separate claim for the engine, which I didn't think the insurance company would cover. They actually told us, yes, we will cover that because it was a third party that caused the damage, which I had no clue that insurance would cover a motor or transmission like that.
Me either.
So, and I also found out through this whole process, talking to one of their district claims managers, is that it doesn't matter where your vehicle's at, where you're taking it, as long as you are not in a competition. If you're in a competition, they will not cover you if you're off-road. But if you're just going with some friends and you're out wheeling, rock crawling, they said 100% we cover it.
Oh, that's good to know.
So that's been a myth that I've been told for years that they absolutely will not cover. But their regional claims manager told me specifically, as long as it's not a competition or some type of a race, we have to cover it. It doesn't, just because you're not on a road that says, whatever, potash road, doesn't mean we don't have to cover your vehicle. It's just when you do wreck and you're off road and you tear up, then we start looking at, should we be insuring these people or not?
Oh yeah.
So,
it's got to be cost effective or they're not going to do it.
Yeah, and they make billions of dollars in profit every year.
So. Oh yeah, and they don't want to lose that.
Yeah, exactly. But so they've been really good about it, and they actually called us and said, we're going to open a claim on your engine, and we actually ordered we were going to do a long block because they don't do. So on the 3.6s, they don't actually do crate motors. They only do short block or long block. So through everything, we were like, well, we can actually save the insurance company some money, which everybody's probably like, what? You're trying to save the insurance company money? Well, it saves them money, but it gets things done quicker for us. So, and we get newer parts. So I ended up calling America's Most Wanted and talked to them over there, Michael over there, and they happen to have a 3.6 that they just pulled out of a 2024 Gladiator, did a Hemi swap with 18 miles on it.
Wow.
Wow.
So we said, we know the insurance company is going to pay for the motor because we met with the insurance adjuster today, and she heard the motor and she was like, Yeah, that's a new motor. So there is no question about it now. So we went ahead and ordered the new motor from America's Most Wanted. Granted, I
We
would
wanted
rather have
Hemi.
had a Hemi swap,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
right. Who,
Yeah.
but
insurance ain't gonna cover that one.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Like, how can-
The difference would be about 30 grand.
Yeah.
Woo.
So,
Goodness.
so it's about
gracious.
40 grand for a 505 horse,
Of course, you
392.
checked into it.
So I did check
Yeah.
into it, but
Sounds
yeah,
like you did your research on that.
I can't do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, 30 grand out of pocket is just not that's not a doable thing.
No kidding.
So how long do you anticipate it taking to get the new engine in and then installed, like shipped and installed and all that?
So I should have the engine Monday or Tuesday. Then it's going to take 7 to 10 days to get the catalytic converters, because that's on the actual flop claim. So I'm waiting because, everybody sees our Gladiator and they think, oh, these people have tons of money. We sold everything. We sold everything we owned to build the Gladiator and go on the road full time. And so we have to, in this instance, it just gets to being too much money. So we have to wait to get the insurance to go ahead and pay for the catalytic converters, because the converters themselves, just the parts, are almost $7,000. Just for the catalytic converters for the Gladiator.
Goodness gracious.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yes. Just one of them is $4,200. Just one of them. The passenger side is $4,200 for that catalytic converter.
Goodness gracious.
Why?
I don't know. That was kind of my thing. I'm like,
no wonder
No
they're
wonder
getting
people are
stolen.
cutting them things off right and left.
Yeah.
Goodness.
the
That's
sad
crazy.
part is they're only getting a couple $100 for them though.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that stupid thing, $4,200. I was like, that's insane.
That is insane.
And I was like, the other one is $1,800 for the other side. And the
That's
other
crazy.
side, and it's really crazy too, because the other side, any shop you take it to, I mean, any shop has said, no, we have to tear part of the drivetrain apart just to get that one out, to get the new one in. And we're like, what? So why not just do it when the motor's out?
Yeah.
So I have talked to a friend of mine here, and him and another guy that has built his Gladiator out. He's trussed his axles and everything, and he runs 40s and he wheels pretty hard. I've talked to them about us just doing it, just because I know exactly what's going to be done to it when we're all there working on it together, rather than letting the shop do it, because I've just had too many times shop damages stuff and don't tell you. And then you find out about it later when you're on the road, which is a bad time
which
to
is
find out
which is
about
horrible.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my wife. She says that's nuts, and I'm sure she's talking about the
talking
catalytic
about the
converter
catalytic
costs.
converters.
I had no idea they were that expensive.
My went bad on my Toyota, and I just cut them off and put headers on there. But we live in Arkansas, and we don't have any restrictions on that, so I can do that. But
when we don't have any in Oregon, we don't have to smog test or anything in Oregon. So I mean, it's something that I could do, but I don't know enough about the electronics on the newer vehicles to know whether or not I could get by with it without. I mean, it is a Jeep, so the check engine light's always on anyway.
Always on.
whether it's a JL, a JT, or a JK, or whatever, they're always
You
on.
can put any Jeep letters together or in a row, and
Exactly.
it's going to happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the letters are.
So yeah, it's just it's one of those things, it's like, do we do it? Do we just cut them off and be done with it? Or I just don't know what the adverse effects are of taking them out.
Yeah, if the computer's going to say something's ain't right.
And I don't know what they do with the Hemi swaps. That's a question I should have asked Michael, what they do on the Hemi swaps. I mean, considering they are a Jeep certified mechanics and Jeep certified, I'm sure they put cats back in when they put the Hemi swaps in, but I don't know. I didn't ask him. That will be a question I do ask him now, though.
Yeah. I know. I listened to Overland X when he's running his out on the beaches, and it doesn't sound like it's got catalytic converters on it.
Yeah.
It sounds like
'Cause
it's got
I wonder what that
California
does,
red.
though. Yeah, I wonder what it does though to the O2 sensors if you take those out.
Yeah.
Because with the cats, because there's 4 O2 sensors on those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's another, those are like I think $160 a piece or something like that. It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
My goodness.
So
Everything's ridiculous.
Everything is ridiculous. Well,
Yeah.
well, let me
so
let me ask you this. Going back to how this all started. You said y'all were in Louisiana, moved to Oklahoma for the build. What made you want to do this? What made you want to live in a Jeep? What it led up to that?
so our end goal is actually to start a nonprofit, because through COVID and everything, we saw so many elderly people lose a spouse or something through COVID, and end up losing their home because they lose that other spouse's income. They get a choice of whether they get whichever's higher they can choose, whether they choose their spouse's Social Security or they keep theirs. They usually get to choose whatever's higher. But then you take, there was so many, for many years, there was so many elderly that were talked into these predatory loans with interest rates that they really couldn't afford and payments they couldn't really afford.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with veterans, first responders. A lot of them got, into the same situation, and comes to a point you can't afford it anymore. And so, and then a lot of their houses get deteriorated because they can't afford to keep them up. And so I've done construction my whole life, and we just saw an opportunity that, we could use this platform to eventually build the nonprofit so that we can actually help people. And I'm hoping we can get to the point. I'm not hoping, I know we'll get to the point where we can actually start paying some people's mortgages off through the help of big companies that want to step up and do that. And, then the way we've been talking about it is being able to set it up where when those people do pass, the equity that we put into the house then becomes back to the nonprofit, so that nonprofit can continue and do it for somebody else. So it's just a process, and it's really expensive to start a nonprofit. And I did not realize how expensive a nonprofit is to start, with attorneys and filing and everything like that. So that's our end goal of this. That's why we started this. We love being on the road, and we love meeting people. And I always go out of my way to help people. We did right when we come into Eugene. Our top is broke. Our Jeep top is broke. It's raining. We have water coming inside, and we stopped at Willamette River at the bridge because a guy was buried. He was buried in the bed of his truck.
I saw that.
Get the winch out and pull him out. He's like, well, I don't think you can pull it out with that. I'm like, we're over 8,000 pounds, and I got a 12,000 pound winch on the front. So I think we'll get you out.
Yeah.
And, but that's for us, that's everything. We want to help as many people as we can. And I wished I had millions of dollars. I could just go help everybody.
Yeah.
But it takes, building a big following to get to that point. And that's really what prompted all of this, because we saw this one elderly man that lived up in Wyoming. He lost his wife and his daughter that both lived in the house. I think he was getting like $700 a month, and he lost his wife and his daughter through COVID, because his daughter and wife both had OCPD. And he lost them both through COVID, not because of COVID, but the effects of being put on the ventilator. And it ended up giving him bacterial pneumonia. Yeah. And that's what actually ultimately, made them pass away.
Yeah.
And so, it's like that guy. I wanted to just take and sell everything and just go pay his house off. because it's, it shouldn't be that way. I mean, there's enough people that give money to guys that say, buy me a beer. I mean, I've seen guys hold up signs on Instagram and, put up their Venmo or whatever, and people donate money to buy him a beer, and he makes millions off of it. I'm like, why can't you guys do that for somebody like him?
Yeah.
Why not help him? And that's kind of what prompted us to just sell everything and go on the road full time to build this. And we figured that would be the only way we could build it faster, is to just full time, go on the road and go all in.
Right on.
About editing.
Well, tell us about some of the. So tell us about some of the places you've been. You were in South America somewhere, is that right?
We went through Mexico, and we did most of Central America. So we went. We started out with a group, and then we got turned away at Guatemala to begin with, because they just you get different people, and the border crossings are just different. So you can get one person that's fine with everything, and they're good with your paperwork. Then you get another one that wants this or that or whatever, and then won't let you in still.
Yeah.
So so we didn't get in to begin with, and then we spent about a month in Mexico, just kind of going around Mexico. Met some amazing people, and it's such a myth with the media.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S. about even mainland Mexico. I know a lot of people go to Baja, but I really don't feel it's any different in mainland Mexico. Certain areas, yeah, but we have areas here none of us go to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Central America was amazing, along with Mexico. We've got, actually, a couple years from now, we've got a wedding to go to. We met a bunch of Jeep guys down there in El Salvador and Guatemala. They wanted us to stay for the Overlanding event there, because they had a big Overlanding expo in Guatemala. But it was like 3 weeks, and we were back in Guatemala, so it was like 3 weeks away. So we decided to come back to the U.S. and go to Easter Jeep Safari. And hindsight, maybe we should have stayed and went to the expo there, and we might have not have outside and have to put a new motor in it.
Man, hindsight, isn't that something? Yeah. So tell me about the graphics on your Jeep. I'm interested in how you came up with your logo and the graphics and all that.
Yeah, that's Max.
So Max is a culmination from my mom, actually. So my mom had a Gorilla that was 60 years old, and it was kind of, I believe it was from King Kong, the original. Yeah. And so she had that thing since we were little. And my brothers actually used to beat me with that thing. And
oh no.
So it was about 8 inches tall. You want to find that picture and send it to him real quick. Yeah. So he was about 8 inches tall. And so I zip tied him on top of the winch. And our last day in Mexico before we crossed into Belize, I was out snorkeling, and then some teenage kids were playing around and messing around the front of the Jeep. And we know, I mean, Amy saw who it was, and we know that's who took it. And I've actually put a reward out, on our Instagram and everything, that, if somebody returns him, $100 cash, and which is like 1,700 pesos for Mexico. So
yeah.
But somebody did reach out and send us a message that there's a company that will actually hunt things like that down. So we ended up getting into Belize, and I had been fuming about the Gorilla, because that was the only thing I had with us that was from my mom, and my mom passed in 2011. And so that was kind of like, I know mom's watching over us. I've got the Gorilla on the front. And after it got taken, I was pretty mad about it, pretty upset. And so then I started looking online and ended up going to Adobe Stock and looking and hunting and hunting and hunting, and finally found the one that's on there now. And we actually had a company in Belize actually put that on. And it's actually the first graphic like that they have ever done. They've always done signs or lettering on a vehicle, but they have never done an actual graphic like that. So they did a good job. You know, it was their first time. So there's a lot of stuff that they didn't know to do. So I was trying to help them and guide them as much as I could. Definitely the language barrier makes it a little bit tougher because we don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So, but they did a really good job, and a lot of the Belize is an English speaking country. So I don't know if everybody, you know, most people know that or not, but Belize, their first language is actually English, but they speak like 5 different languages there.
Yeah.
They speak English, Spanish, Creole, and Mayan, and I think there's like 2 different dialects of Mayan. So they have and most of all of them speak at least 3. Most all of them speak English, Spanish, and Creole.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the original gorilla.
Yeah,
and
he totally tell how old he is.
So he was probably 60 years old.
Yeah.
my brothers used to whack, because I'm the baby boy out of 5 boys, and then we have a younger sister that's younger than me. But yeah, my brothers used to whack me with that thing a lot. So it was only fitting that I got to keep it.
Yeah. So tell us about the build. What, like, suspension, what lift, and what gear, you know, stuff like that.
Okay. So we ended up I did probably about 6 months of research trying to figure out what springs hold the most weight, you know. And so Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, he was good about answering questions about the Clayton stuff. You know, we reached out to a lot of different YouTubers. We reached out to Oki and talked to Oki, you know, about them, because I know they ended up going with the Dobbins on his Gladiator. And so we ended up going with the Clayton 3.5-inch Overland kit, which is actually the exact same kit as Matt with Ozark Overland has. And so I basically took everything that everybody else had showed me that had been failing on the Gladiators. I basically replaced it. So we ended up going with the Clayton 3.5-inch Overland kit. We pulled the drive shafts out, went with Adams drive shafts, front and rear. The kit came with rock jock steering linkage, and then we ended up choosing the Falcon 3.3 adjustable shocks, which they've been a great shock so far. And then we ended up putting the sector brace in from Steer Smart.
Yeah.
And so that really tightened up the steering, you know, because that steering box wants to twist on you.
Yeah.
And so we put that in. The only thing I haven't changed yet, and that's because of the weight factor, is I want to change out the rear sway bar and put anti-rock. But from what I've heard from a lot of people that do carry weight and pull trailers, anti-rock's really not the way to go, because it just doesn't hold the weight of pulling a trailer like the stock one does. So I'm back and forth with it. I don't really know. You know, I haven't talked to anybody that has switched to the anti-rock and pulled a trailer or had that much weight on it. That's something I need to do more research about. I definitely want to change the front because I get tired of playing with the button. I just want to be able to go and not have to play with the button to get it to disconnect or reconnect. That is kind of annoying sometimes when you're trying to keep up, and you know you don't always have it off or turned on. And So sometimes that gets a little annoying having to wait on the button, and you know, I don't like to be that. I don't like to be that guy everybody's waiting on. So
yeah.
And so that's what we ended up. And that's one of the few things that we actually bought new. The front bumper is a Smitty built XRC Gen 2. I bought it on a scratch deal. It had a scratch on top of it, and I'm like, I'm gonna scratch it up anyway. So I ended up it's like an $800 bumper. I got it for $300 because it had a scratch on top of it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna scratch it up anyway. So
yeah.
And you've done almost all this work yourself, right? Putting all this together and on.
Yeah. The only thing I haven't done is the gears. And I have all the tools to do it with, but I had never done gears. Done a lot of reading, a lot of research. We ended up going with 513 Yukons. And everybody in Oklahoma was rather expensive to get it done there. So I made a call to Rebel Off-Road because they have the shop in Texas that they've had there for a few years now.
Yeah.
And so I made a call to them, and $1,800 included my gears. Actually, it ended up costing us $1,700. I don't know what they charge now, but this has been, August or May.
Yeah.
April, May of last year of 2023. And so we went, I mean, it was 300 miles. I drove 300 miles down there. They put the gears in. I actually did a marathon break-in. So I drove 26 hours straight. I drove 15 or 20 miles. And I did way beyond what you need to do to break gears in, but I wanted to make sure those gears were as hard as possible because I knew the weight we were putting on it, and I knew the traveling we were going to be doing. So I actually went 15, 20 miles, set until I could actually hold my hand on the differential cover and not take my hand off. So I could just hold it on there and it not burn me. I did that 15, 20 miles, let it cool down, 15, 20 miles for 26 hours straight.
I wasn't going.
Wow.
So I was there by myself. So
I was like,
Amy's like, no, I didn't.
No, she said,
that's all you is OCD. I'm like,
yeah, she actually stayed at home. So
that's OCD to the max.
I have really bad OCD. So yeah, it's so I spent 26 hours straight. And then the next day I drove. So that was on a Thursday. They finished the gears I think it was about noon, probably somewhere in there. They're really fast at gears. They can do them in like 4 hours. I mean, these guys do gears all the time.
You said 1,700. Is that per axle or is that total for both?
Total. That was the whole job. No,
you did it. Yeah.
It's like $1,800 for those guys total. Everybody in Oklahoma and Arkansas area wanted like $3,300.
You did a lot of research.
Well, that's why it's such a shock, because every time I've checked locally, that's what people are paying for gears.
Yeah.
Not me. I'll drive somewhere before I pay that, or I'll do it myself.
Why, I mean, that's partly why mine are still stock gears.
Yeah. Go to Rebel. Go to Rebel Off-Road in Texas, man. They do a great job. I haven't had any issues with them, and we've put some miles on them. I mean, we've been across the U.S. and back. We've been to Central America, all over Mexico and back, and we haven't had a single issue with our gears. So those guys do a great job. I stopped at the Rebel in California, and they checked everything out for me there, and we went on our way down to, I just wanted everything double checked before we headed out. And so we stopped down there just because they did the gears, and stopped down there, and they made sure everything was topped off, and we were on our way and down to Mexico. But yeah, we went 513s. And I think we'd be good with the 513s to go ahead and bump up to the 40s. I don't wheel hard. I'm very gentle on the skinny pedal. So I don't like to bounce and break stuff. So.
Yeah, you bounce, you get a wheel off the ground and start spinning. That's when things break.
Yeah, plus, if you've got OCD, everything inside shuffles around. You have to stop, put it back in its place. That's the way I am.
Yeah,
I can't stand that.
But yeah, they said. I mean, Bond has a great group of guys that work at both places. They do good work. I couldn't recommend them more. Especially the price. I mean, there's no way I would have paid that money to get my gears done down in Oklahoma. I would have done them myself and took the chance. I actually ordered all the tools to do everything. I ordered exactly what a bunch of the guys that do gears on a daily basis, the exact same tools they have. I wrote it all down and I ordered the exact same tools they use.
Wow.
And I never used them.
Well, it's something that I've toyed with. I've done gears before back in our days when we had Mustangs. I did gears in, both our cars, and it's something that I don't know. I've done it before, but it's like a little bit more at stake now. Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like, do you chance doing it yourself? Because you don't do it every day and you don't know all the little nuances that it takes, or the shimming that it may take, or the backlash that you need, or are you setting it in the right place to calculate the right backlash?
And can you give yourself a warranty?
Yeah. Exactly. So, it's just taking all that into account, and it's like, $3,300 is, to me, is just ridiculous. But I understand why those guys charge that, because it's not something they do on a daily basis, so they're not as fast at it. So they don't know as much about doing the gears on many different types. Where Rebel Off-Road, they do, I couldn't tell you how many gear jobs every single week they're doing gears. And their guys are very good and very efficient at it.
That's awesome. So, well, tell me about the fun stuff. Tell me about your topper and your tent and your awning and all that. What you got on there that you actually live in?
So the topper, is an actual RLD stainless cap. We actually bought it secondhand from a gentleman in South Dakota. So we made a trip out of it and went to South Dakota and picked up that top, and he helped me bolt it on. I ended up taking it off because I couldn't get it to set right and seal good with the plastic side pieces on the Gladiator, because there is no plastic pieces that run on the head rack of the bed.
Yeah.
So I pulled the plastic pieces off because the bed hadn't been rhino lined or anything yet. So I pulled those pieces off and actually duct taped the holes underneath, and then had the whole top of the bed sprayed with rhino liner. So now there's no plastic piece on there, and the bed's even all the way around. So when I set the cap on, it actually sealed the whole cap instead of having that gap where you have to actually put an extra piece of sealer in. So I just eliminated that factory plastic rail piece on there.
Nice.
And we've been, I couldn't tell you how many miles and miles and miles of dirt road. And I have carpet in the back because I made a custom drawer system for the back. And it's a one of one. There is not another one. Which I haven't done a full walk around yet of everything and pulled it out. I have done at some of the expos and, showed a lot of people on the road because they want to see what drawer system we have, because I've got the fridge and stove and everything all integrated into it. And so the carpet, I mean, you can look inside of it and the carpet's darn near as clean as the day I put it in. Just it's got the positive pressure vent and that RLD cap. As far as I know, though, there is not a distributor in the U.S. still for the RLD caps. So Smart Cap is kind of the only one that you can really get unless you go to AluCab or Go Fast. As far as just toppers. Don't get me wrong. I love the Go Fast campers, slide ins, and the AluCabs, but man, they are expensive. We gave $2,500 for that RLD cap for a used one. We gave $2,500 and just drove to South Dakota to get it.
Yeah, I think you got a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely. So the awning we have is a Nomad 270 Overland Vehicle Systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I actually
just
Tony's
put one of
brand now.
I just put one of those on my truck.
I mean, they're $800. They are tough as heck. They come with the mounting brackets. They come with 6 poles. They come with tie downs. They come with stakes, which most all the rest of them, you don't get stakes. You don't get poles.
Yeah.
So we hardly ever use the poles. I actually took the poles off that actually zip up into it and actually put lights on it and wired a whole lighting kit in that I control with my cell phone. So I control it with a Bluetooth. So I actually ordered a Bluetooth module and wired it in. And then I can pull the awning off because it's not hardwired. I just use SAE plugs that I drilled holes in the side of the RLD cap and just plug them in whenever I want the lights.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
But even the lighting that I put inside the RLD cap are done the same way. They're on the same Bluetooth module, and I use my cell phone and turn the lights on and off from my cell phone. I just don't have ambers on the cap itself. On the topper, I don't have ambers in there yet. So usually when we have the awning out, for some reason, that particular amber, and they're $60 LED lights from Amazon is what we put on there. So I have whites and I have ambers. That's it. I know ARB makes a longer set of LEDs but it's like $50 a piece, where that kit come from Amazon. It come with a bag, and everything just quick connects together. It was like $60 for 6 of them, and they're probably 2.5 feet long. Each one of the bars are like 2.5 feet long, and so it come with 2 ambers and 4 whites. I tried ordering just ambers, but the company is like, well, we sell direct to Amazon, and there are no packages that are just amber. So I have to buy more packages to get more ambers, and I didn't need that many extra lights. So,
what rooftop tent are you running?
So we are running the iCamper, the 2.0.
That's the wedge one, right?
No, this one actually flips completely out. It's 89 by.
Oh, that's right, the one that flips
74.
Yeah.
So it's the iCamper 2.0 X cover.
The X cover, yeah.
Oh, the X cover. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's the one that's got the soft sides all the way around, right?
Yeah,
the soft sides and the hard top on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, and the top. Yeah.
And it actually has the bars on top.
Yeah.
That you can actually throw kayaks or anything or bikes, but I mean that'd put it pretty tall on ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we wanted one that was enough to leave our bedding in there.
Yeah.
We didn't want to take our bedding out.
That's
figure out where to store it.
That's huge. That's huge.
It is.
Bedding storage on any overland rig is.
Now, granted, having the extra weight up there probably isn't such a smart idea, but, it is just it is just bedding. But we do. I mean, we don't do a lot of rock crawling, but I'm really wanting to get to the point where we eventually want to take that bed off and put it on a frame and use everything I've already built instead of buying, I mean, I just can't see me ever spending $50,000-$60,000 for a Patriot camper.
Yeah.
That to me, I can use that money to help other people. Now, I'm not above a sponsorship, but none of us probably are.
Yeah.
But it's just to put that kind of money out. I would rather put that kind of money out towards helping other people than I would towards, and I, everybody has their own, what they want to do and things like that. But I'm not in this for the money. I'm in it to help people. And so that's kind of what I've been thinking about doing, is actually building a trailer to just move the bed off and then bob it and cut off the rear end and put a bumper back there to pull the trailer with, and then just put an aluminum flatbed on it. So then I do have the departure angle, and I can actually do more rock and wheeling stuff. And then I can just set up camp and not have to rush back and try to get back before dark.
Yeah.
to set up camp because
Yeah.
camp's already set up. That's one of
Yeah.
the biggest things is that's probably the most annoying thing for us is when we do go and we do go to do a trail for with somebody, it ends up you get back to camp, you got to set camp up and everything else. And when you live full time on the road, you get pretty fast at setting up and tearing down, but it still is just a lot to do every single day when you want to go out and do trails and come back and set everything up and flip your tent open. It'd be nice to be able to pull up, drop the trailer, set
base
up,
camp,
and just go play.
Well,
So,
a lot of people don't think about that, because the normal person, they go out all day or they work all day and they come home, they open the door, they sit on the couch, turn the TV on, and it's done. When you live in a rooftop tent, there's a lot to do before you can sit down. You don't even have a chair. You've even got to set your chair up. So it's
up there.
everything.
Well, and I mean, we finally went through 3 heaters before we finally found one that would work. And I mean, we've been down into
Colorado, like
20 degree weather, and we I literally spent because we used to have 2 iCampers on the truck. So to begin with, I actually built it with 2 iCampers and an iCamper X-Cover 2.0 Mini and an X-Cover 2.0. So my daughter was with us for a little while, but she's with her biological mom now because she actually is wrestling and likes doing competitive cheer. So she didn't want to travel all the time. And I get that, she's 14 and
my daughter's 14 as well.
So I'm like,
I understand.
If that's what you want to do, then I'm not gonna fight about it or anything. We talk every day, we message all the time, and she's very smart. So, so we had that on there for a while, which was definitely different because most people were not used to seeing 2 tents on on anything, let alone 2 on a Gladiator. And so that definitely brought a lot of attention to it because we were at Loveland, the expo in Loveland, and that was Mountain West. So, and we were right in the entranceway. So as soon as everybody was coming in, they immediately saw that and they were asking iCamper, well, are they not part of you guys? And they're like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, they have 2 iCampers up there. And then they ended up coming up and looking at it and they're like, oh, we had never seen that before. So, but we actually put Rhino racks on it to begin with, but we bought one of them we bought in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, and I actually cut it down to match the RLD cap because it was a 76 inch and I had cut it down to 67 to match the cap so it looked right because it was just hanging out too far and hanging way too far forward. So I actually tore it all apart and cut it down to match what we needed. And then I put a
that's a bunch of screws. They put a bunch of screws in those Rhino racks.
Oh yeah.
Tony and I both have Rhino rack stuff. We know the pain. We know the pain.
Yeah, it took some time taking it apart and then cutting it all down. So yeah, it definitely took almost a whole day to take it all apart and cut it down and then put it back together and re-drill holes and so.
Yeah. So what about your fridge setup? Is it in the back seat or is it in the bed or
it's actually in the bed.
Okay.
So I actually have a whole drawer that slides out the full length. I have 2 drawers that slide out the full length of the truck bed. So one underneath the driver's side, it actually has a camp partner, a 2-burner 22-inch stove that comes underneath. So it slides out another 2 feet past the full length of the drawer of the bed of the truck. So it goes out quite a ways. And then I have an IceCo 75.
Okay.
And I absolutely love that fridge. I mean, it's great
Yeah.
because it opens both directions, or you can
Yeah.
pull the whole top off.
Yeah, I have the same one. I love it.
Yeah.
And with the having the freezer, we have the freezer on the front. I mean, we've been through hot weather down in Central America and never had a problem keeping anything frozen in it. And
Yeah.
it's a black top.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot of heat in there. I mean, there's times you could even touch the side of the RLD cap without burning your hand, but it was still frozen.
Right.
Yeah, it works good. I love it.
So what about auxiliary power?
So
What do
I
you do
actually have so I put two Ionics 125 amp hour lithium batteries in it. We got them on a sale. They were nearly half price, so they're normally like $1,200 for those batteries. We got them for like $600 a piece. So we bought two of them.
Right
So
on.
we have 250 amp hours of lithium battery, and they are heated.
Okay.
So we made sure to get the heated batteries because we knew we were going to end up being in some cold at some point. So I didn't want to take the chance of not being able to be able to charge our batteries.
Yeah.
And so we have a Red Arc BCDC 1250 that I run 4-aught wire all the way from the front to the back. And we drilled holes up high on the bed and put grommets in so that it wouldn't cut into the wire. So we put rubber grommets in and run it back there. And I've got a main disconnect that sits right as we flip the door open. I've got a main disconnect right here on the corner that I can just turn off if I need to for anything. But we have the Red Arc BCDC 1250 because it's very compact.
Yeah.
And that was the deciding factor for us, is because once you put the drawer system in, you get very limited on space, especially in that bed.
Yeah.
So we ended up going with the Red Arc BCDC 1250. And I actually have a plug on the side that our solar panels plug into. So when we're camping somewhere, I can just plug the 30-foot cord in. And it is I used a 10 gauge wire for the wiring for the plug and everything, and SAE plugs. All of those generally come with the MC4s. So I did an adapter from the MC4 to the SAE so that I could just plug it in and keep everything that is on the truck all SAE plugs. Even our power or heater is an SAE plug.
You doing any solar at all?
Yeah, we actually have 200-watt Renogy panels, the suitcase panels, which we just recently got replaced because the other ones quit on us after about 3 months. And you really have to document everything with Renogy to get them to replace it in any amount of time. It took us almost 3 months to get the replacement panels because they quit working on us in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up not having solar panels pretty much our whole trip in Mexico and Central America.
And man, you get good solar down there too.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
You talk about some sun.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it kind of sucked having to run the truck to keep our batteries.
No kidding, especially when you've got such good sun. Oh, yeah, good sun down there.
And especially Mexico when it's almost $8 a gallon for fuel.
Yeah. No kidding.
Oh, wow.
And they fill it in clear jugs too sometimes.
It's definitely crazy. So
my goodness.
So I put in a lot of extra plugs. So the biggest thing is, when you take your wives or whatever, is giving them conveniences. Conveniences they have at home. So she has the ability to run a curling iron, run a hair dryer, so I actually put a 2000-watt Renogy inverter in, so she can run her hair dryer and curling iron at the same time. So
wow.
So it's got plenty of power, and I think the testing that I've done, she can run the hair dryer for an hour and a half before it would kill the batteries.
Wow.
So
that's good.
So I think that's plenty of time to have a hair dryer and curling iron. So.
Yeah. My goodness. Well, that's cool. That's really cool. Normally we're getting towards the end of when we like to set our time limit on this and kind of wrap it up. And I usually ask people, where are you going to be next? But I guess you can't really tell us that because you don't know when you're going to have your vehicle. Are y'all planning on being at any of the expos coming up or any of the events coming up?
Well, I did apply to try to teach at Expo at Mountain West, or not Mountain West, at West. But they had somebody else that was teaching border crossings, because we actually, while we were in Mexico, we ended up doing 8 border crossings in one day.
Wow.
So we left at 7 o'clock in the morning from El Salvador and ended up back in El Salvador at 2 a.m. So, so we did El Salvador into Honduras, drove all the way across Honduras, out of Honduras into Nicaragua. Then Nicaragua decided they wanted to. I lost my drone in Belize in a cave, and so I didn't have a drone when I hit Nicaragua. So I didn't think the batteries or the remote control was going to be a big deal, but it ended up being a big deal. And so they wanted me to leave those, and I wasn't going to do that because it's like $600 for that remote. So I was like, no. And then they tried taking our Devos light, and I wasn't going for that. Then they wanted us to empty our water out. That's really the only bad experience we had down there. And I probably could have went to a different border and just went more north. We went to the southern one where all the truckers go. And we probably could have just left out of there and went north, but I just had enough of Nicaragua after them trying to do all that. And then they wanted us to lay all our stuff out on the dirt. And they even run us through the x-ray machine, which we have video of that up on our social media, where they run us through the x-ray machine. And we did put a picture up that we may have went a little too far with putting the main thief. Because the main guy that come back out, everybody else had already searched our vehicle, and they were good with it. They said, no, you're good. Close everything up. So we closed everything up, and then their boss come out. He made us open everything back up, started searching the truck again. I'm like, I showed him the emails, and I know they were looking for a drone. I know that's exactly what they were looking for. And because it's legal everywhere else. Everywhere else, you don't have any issues with the drone, but Nicaragua. And so he goes searching, and he's using his cell phone flashlight. So I'm like, hold on a minute. So I hand him my big flashlight, my big LED flashlight. And I was like, here, I don't have anything to hide. Whatever you want, but I'm not going to lay my stuff out on the dirt. That's just not going to happen. And so we ended up leaving and going back. So we ended up doing El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, out of Nicaragua, back into Honduras, out of Honduras, back into El Salvador, all in one day.
Yeah.
So great. That sounds horrible.
So it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah. Memories and good videos.
I don't recommend it.
I don't recommend it.
Why?
I don't recommend it, but
he's driving.
It was kind of fun. And everybody says don't drive at night. But I mean, I drove at night in almost every single country and never had an issue. Never had anybody try stopping us. Never had anybody try pulling in front of us I mean, everybody's so nice down there. I mean, we have places now that we can go down there and, we can stay on their property and not have to go to campsites. But there is no public land down there at all anywhere. There's no BLM. There's no, the only place that really has national parks is Belize. And those parks are beautiful. Yeah, they really are. They have some amazing hiking, amazing waterfalls. And they have an amazing ranger staff in Belize with all of the parks down there.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. So will you be at Overland West, or you just decide against it?
I don't think we're going to be there. I know we are going to go to the Smoky Mountain Jeep
invasion.
We are going to go there. We were supposed to meet with Max's Tire at Jeep Beach. So we've been trying to kind of get maybe a sponsorship, hopefully at some point, maybe from them, because I do love the Maxxis tires. had them on our JK, and I've always loved the Maxxis tires. So
Right.
even if we could get a little bit of a sponsorship, that would be cool.
Oh yeah, every little bit helps for sure.
But yeah, so I did speak with her yesterday and told her, hey, sorry we didn't make it to Jeep Beach. I didn't want to bug her during the event, so I messaged her afterwards, and she's like, well, you guys gonna be at Smoky Mountain, right? And I said, well, we're hoping to. So
Yeah.
I told her we had to put a new motor in the truck, which we actually, like I said, we ordered the motor already. Should be here Monday or Tuesday. I think
How long will it take them to get that done, you think?
Actually, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do it?
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to actually do the motor swap ourselves. So
Sweet.
So yeah, I have really bad, like I said, when we started this, I have really bad OCD. So it's very tough for me to let, and Rebel, I know they don't generally let people in the shop, and Rebel was really good with me. And they did allow me to video so I was there with their tech, doing everything, which we haven't put that video up yet. We have all the video. It's just learning the software, and I just need to start getting video out there. So we have the whole build on video. Yeah. Because we video pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, my axe and my leg, I have video of that from September of last year. I have the doctors. Actually, I videoed it while they were stitching it up.
Oh, wow.
So
cool.
But you cannot post that on YouTube, I found.
Oh, no.
YouTube does not allow medical procedures on YouTube any longer. So
my goodness. Awesome.
I did put a little bit on Instagram and Facebook. So they do allow it there, but not TikTok or YouTube.
Yeah.
So, but
we'll be looking forward to seeing. I know you post on Instagram pretty regular, and I'm sure you'll be posting the progress of because everybody wants to know when you're getting back on the road. So we want to see that.
Yeah. We're hopefully we spoke with the guys at America's Most Wanted, and hopefully they video the wrapping the motor and putting it in the truck. So I was like, can you guys do me a huge favor and take some video of wrapping the motor and putting it in the back of the truck, and then we'll do video as soon as it gets here coming off the truck. I was like, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but it's but yeah, we've met so many amazing people. Yeah. I mean, it's that's the biggest thing is you meet so many amazing people that they just want to get out of the city.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. And that's the biggest thing. And, I love what we're doing. I've worked construction my whole life and beat my body up pretty bad. And I'm kind of enjoying doing something that's not, most of the time it's not killing my body, but changing an engine's going to be, I've done it many times, but just not on something with so much electronics.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the difference. But, talking to all the guys in America's Most Wanted, they're like, it's all plug and play, it's a 2014 motor with only 18 miles on it.
Yeah.
So our biggest concern with doing the long block and having the dealership do it was all the old parts come off the motor. So your water pump, your alternator, your belts, which we would put a new belt on anyway. But you start taking into account, you've got 82,000 miles on an idler pulley, and you're putting everything on a brand new block.
Yeah.
With new heads, everything is tight. So how long is it going to be before all that stuff starts failing?
Yeah.
I don't want to be chasing issues.
That's true.
So we talked to the insurance, and I told them, I said, we can save you guys like $1,500 in covering the motor by me ordering this motor from American Most Wanted. And they're like, really? Nobody ever tries to save us money. I'm like, well, it's being transparent about everything. And I think they go more out of their way to help you get things fixed and get things back if you're transparent with them.
Yeah.
So always try to think about the positive of it. And I think going with a motor that was just pulled out by the leading Hemi swap guys in the nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's probably a good bet that they knew exactly how to pull it out without damaging anything. And if something did get damaged, I think they would take care of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm glad that y'all got the wheels rolling on that. And you've got all the other stuff. Now, we did have a comment on here that I wanted to share with you on our Instagram. I'm not able to put our Instagram comments up here, but we got a good friend, Moore, and he said, I just found out with my projects that some colleges with a law program will do all the nonprofit paperwork for free so the students can get the experience. So you might check into that. If you have any colleges around there that have a law program, you may want to contact them, see if they can help you with that.
Awesome.
But man, we wish y'all all the best and getting your engine back. Everybody wants to see you back on the road. We've seen the horror pictures of you on the side of the road. We want to see you on the road and hope to run into you somewhere pretty quick. But we're going to jump off here. Thank y'all so much.
Hey, we appreciate
taking
you guys
time out and visiting with us. We really appreciate it, and we wish y'all all the best. But
thank you,
everybody. Thanks. Thank you, Amy, for coming on here. Appreciate you being here. And we wish y'all all the best. But for everybody, on behalf of Tony and myself, thank y'all for being here. We hope y'all have a wonderful week. And whatever you do, get out there. Enjoy yourself. Do life while you still have time. Look out for number 1. They'll step in number 2.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Good to see y'all.
All right. We out.